You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1553, an excerpt from the Retired Racehorse Radio podcast here on Horse Radio Network. Co-hosts Joy and Kristen are joined by Winnie from New Vocations with some insight into why some horses may struggle with obstacles or tricky footing. This episode is brought to you by U.S. Rider.
Even under the best circumstances, travel is stressful for horses. We've all been there, stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. You can make the journey knowing that U.S. Rider is there for you. Get peace of mind on the road with U.S. Rider's nationwide 24/7 roadside assistance coverage for both you and your horse. Join today at usrider.org.
Well, it is that time of the episode where we bring on New Vocations to introduce our adoptable horse of the week and bring us a lovely training tip. And today we are joined by Winnie Morgan-Nemeth, who runs the standardbred side of New Vocations. Welcome back to the show, Winnie.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Doing great. It's a new year, fresh horses, and probably lots of training questions we're going to be throwing at you for sure.
Great. I hope I can help.
Well, you guys have always been wonderful to work with, and we know our listeners appreciate all of the training tips you've been able to offer us. So I know Kristen had one that she was interested in asking you today. Kristen, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, this is purely selfish. This is my own training question as I'm working with my own standard
general
bred.
good.
Yeah. I mean, I always figure if I'm having the problem, someone else is also having the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. So some of this, I am kind of making some assumptions about my standardbred's past. He was an Amish buggy horse for over 15 years, and he's really good natured and, generally pretty quiet, just like a good dude to work around. But one thing I'm sort of assuming based on his reactions to things around his feet in terms of like obstacles or stepping over logs, I'm just guessing, based on all that history, that he doesn't have a lot of like off-road experience. And he's always been good to trail ride and just like, he'll kind of do whatever and he's fine. But if I'm trying to actually work with him over obstacles or tarps or water, his default reaction is he's just very forward. Like he's like, let's just rush this, get it over with as fast as I can. Doesn't really matter if I hit the thing or, get all tangled up in the pole or whatever. We'll get through it really fast and then we can go on to do something else. So he's not super confident, but he's very forward. So I've been trying to do a lot of work to slow his feet down. But if you have any other tips or, overall techniques or methods to help a horse like that, and maybe I'm totally off base. Maybe I'm just sort of like making an assumption based on his past. But that would be my guess from working with a horse that's only ever been driven on a road or a track.
Right. It's a good question. And it's one that we do get a lot. And it does go back into his past. And that one thing I think people forget is that Amish horses and race horses, majority of them, probably 95 to 98% of them, are being driven with blinders on, or they have, they're only seeing ahead of them. They're not seeing their feet. Okay, they're not seeing what they're going through. They're not seeing what they're on. They can wear shadow rolls over their nose, so they're not seeing down. They can walk through a puddle with a cart, and then you walk them by hand through a puddle, and they're not going through that. Like they act like they've never seen that before because they really haven't.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is all brand new. Like he sees the cart or he sees the pole, and he's just like, okay, we're just gonna go. Like I'm gonna shut my eyes and go. And obviously he's very willing. So one thing that's good to remember, and I like to tell people, is trying to do those types of things at the walk and work on bending. So continue the forward motion, but make sure he's bending left and right at his pole. He's giving his face. You're giving him something to focus on and that he's learning to give, whether that be like forward walking and doing like a forward motion side pass, so that he's learning to give. And once he starts to do that and you're doing it at the walk, ask him to go over those things at the walk. Do it like in little baby chunks and baby steps. But again, getting that bending is huge for them. They need to learn to give to the bit because they're taught to push against the bit. And again, that goes with, we're just going. Being an Amish horse, it was like hook and go. There's no, you got to do what you're told and you're doing it immediately. So that's a lot of years. And now we're asking them on their back. We take the blinders off. we take everything off and there's a whole new world for them. So
Right.
I really do like to slow down, do it at the walk, teach them to bend. And bending takes a lot of work and a lot of time. But once they get it, which they can get it, it really does pay off. The other thing I would do too is just make sure people forget, but their teeth, dental work is so important for the standardbreds because a lot of them do not get any type of dental work. And a lot of times some issues come just from that. So just making sure their teeth are floated, have your dentist look in there. There's a lot, it's scary. And that is one thing we do almost routinely on all of our standardbreds that come in. Just because they don't get a lot of that at the racetrack. And that does affect bit placement, bending, all those types of things. So that's another big check their teeth.
Yeah, that's a good one. Fortunately, our equine dentist is a standardbred guy, so he gets like special service because he's like, I love standardbreds. This guy's the greatest. So that's very helpful. But yes, you have pointed out another hole in our training because the bending has been a huge challenge. And sometimes I'm guilty of being like, I'm not going to open that can of worms. Let's go work on an obstacle. So that's obviously a little bit of a vicious cycle that I just need to buckle down and get to work on. So thanks a lot, Winnie. That gives me plenty to go on. We'll give you a report next time, see how it's going.
Good. Yep. I can't wait.
Well, there you have it. Horse Radio Network has thousands of engaging podcasts for horse people, and you can have them sent right to your phone. Just subscribe via your favorite podcast player. This is Coach Jen, and I will be back again soon with another tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.